Okay, let's dive right into this explainer and explore some absolute titans of FIFA World Cup data. If you've ever felt the sheer electricity of a summer tournament, you know firsthand that this event literally stops time for entire nations. Seriously, the world just goes on pause. But today, we're actually going way beyond the basic highlights on the pitch. We're going to look directly at the jaw-dropping metrics and those weird historical anomalies that make this tournament an undisputed behemoth of international culture. Get ready, because we've got some genuinely staggering numbers coming your way. But before we get into the really granular stats, let's set the stage with a pretty monumental question about global obsession. What do you think is the single most watched sporting event on the entire planet? Just think for a second about all the sprawling athletic competitions out there. Some of them are absolutely massive, right? But when we measure the sheer volume of human eyeballs locked onto a single event, there is one tournament that towers completely above the rest. The passion for this game completely transcends borders, languages, and time zones. So, do you have your guess locked in?
Well, the unbelievable scale of this event is honestly unmatched. 1.5 billion people watched the 2022 World Cup final between Argentina and France. 1.5 billion. To put that astronomical number into perspective, that is roughly 1/5 of the entire global population tuning in simultaneously to watch a single football match. Just think about the shared human experience that number represents. Whether you were crammed into a packed pub, standing in a sprawling public square, or just sitting on your couch in your living room, you were part of a collective global audience. Everyone experiencing those exact same moments of tension, heartbreak, and ultimate triumph at the exact same time. It absolutely confirms the World Cup as the undisputed king of televised sports.
Now, what's really fascinating here is how we measured that massive audience. Because there's a wild contrast. While 2022 clearly dominates the modern television and streaming landscape, the United States actually still holds the record for the highest physical stadium attendance, and that's from way back in 1994. Think about the longevity of that record. We've had tournaments all over the globe since then, but the sheer size of the American stadiums used in the '94 tournament, which were largely these gargantuan NFL football stadiums, created an unbeatable physical capacity that modern soccer-specific venues just rarely match. It really shows us that a sporting spectacle can be measured both by those invisible broadcast waves reaching billions of screens and by the very loud, very visible sea of humanity packed into the actual seats.
Okay, so we've talked about the fans, but the financial and cultural behemoth of the FIFA World Cup is, of course, built entirely on what happens on the grass. Let's explore some legendary on-pitch records.
When we talk about on-pitch records, you literally can't start anywhere else but Brazil and their absolute historical dominance. With 5 World Cup victories, they just completely tower over every other nation in the history of the sport. I mean, winning even a single World Cup requires this crazy alignment of immense talent, perfect timing, and, let's be honest, usually a little bit of luck. So to do it 5 times, that means excellence is just baked into the very DNA of that nation's sporting culture. Whenever Brazil steps onto the pitch, they aren't just playing the opponent in front of them. They are carrying the weight and the pride of an unrivaled historical legacy.
But hey, records aren't just about the accumulation of total wins over decades, right? Sometimes they are about blistering blink-and-you-miss-it speed. Which brings us to a really fun question. Just how fast can someone actually score at this elite level? Imagine the tension right before kickoff. The referee blows the whistle. The entire world is watching. The opposing defense is completely fresh and ready to go. How quickly can all of that be completely dismantled to put the ball in the back of the net? Think you know?
To truly grasp the sheer speed we are talking about here, from the opening whistle, it took Turkey's Hakan Şükür a mere 11 seconds to score against South Korea in 2002. 11 seconds. That remains the fastest goal in World Cup history. Now compare that tiny, almost invisible sliver of time to the standard 90-minute match duration. I mean, before some fans even had time to take their seats or process that the match had officially started, history was already made. It's an incredible reminder that in the World Cup, a single momentary lapse in concentration by a defender, paired with absolute striker precision, can permanently alter the history books in less time than it takes to tie your shoes.
All right, so all of this legendary history we've been talking about is basically paving the way for a vast evolution, because the 2026 World Cup is gearing up to be the biggest tournament ever.
The 2026 iteration is going to expand across borders to be hosted by 3 nations simultaneously: the USA, Canada, and Mexico. This is a huge, monumental shift for the sport. The logistical undertaking to run an event of this scale across 3 immense North American countries is truly staggering. But the cultural impact? That's going to be even larger.
This setup brings the global game directly to vast audiences across the entire continent, blending the distinct sporting cultures and passions of these three host nations into one sprawling, unprecedented festival of football.
But honestly, the most staggering metric for 2026 isn't even the geographic footprint. It's the number 48. The tournament will officially feature an incredible 48 teams competing for the ultimate prize. By increasing the number of participating nations, the tournament becomes undeniably more global. This means more matches, more drama, and crucially, an opportunity for more nations to finally step on to the biggest sporting stage on Earth. The sheer volume of action we are going to witness is absolutely going to cement 2026 as the biggest tournament ever attempted.
So, to wrap up this explainer, we've looked at everything from 1.5 billion global viewers to an insane 11-second goal. But as we look toward that massive, unprecedented 48-team tournament in 2026, I want to leave you with this to really think about. Will expanding the FIFA World Cup to this degree bring even more global magic to the pitch, or do we risk diluting that elite lightning-in-a-bottle quality that made all those historic moments possible in the first place? Keep questioning the statistics, and thank you so much for joining me for this explainer.